Hey everyone! So now that you've created a mandala, we're going to add motion to it and create a GIF. So let's get to it. All right, so first off, you're going to open up your Mandala PSD. And before we continue, we're going to go ahead and save this as a new file. So, in case you want to keep this as its own thing, you totally can. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to come up here to File. I'm going to go to Save As, and I'm just going to add underscore and motion to this and hit Save. Okay, now before we continue, we did save this, or we did create this at 2000 pixels by 2000, which is a bit big for a GIF. So let's go ahead and change that up. I'm going to come up here to Image, Image Size, and I'm going to change this, and if this doesn't say pixels, if it says inches, for example, go ahead and just change this to pixels, and I'm going to change this to 1080 by 1080. That is a pretty good size, especially for online. That's the recommended size for a lot of different social media sites and stuff like that. So let's go ahead and click OK. And next what we need to do, well, I'm going to go ahead and make this a little bigger. Hit Command, or if you're on a PC, Control plus a couple times to make this larger. And now to create a video or add motion, I need to go into the timeline panel. So let's go up here to Window and Timeline. And once that opens up, we're going to go ahead and click on the Create Video Timeline. Now, if you wanted to do a frame animation instead, you'd actually click on this little arrow and change this. But we're going to stay on Video Timeline, clicking there. Now we have all of our layers on these different, timeline layers, I guess they're called. Okay, so now we need to go ahead and get our layers ready for motion. So let's do that. I'm going to come over here, and the first thing I'm actually going to do is I'm going to basically, earlier I had created my gradient and added a pattern to it, but I'm going to add motion to the pattern. So I want to kind of separate them. So how I'm going to do that is I'm going to make a copy of this. I'm going to hit Command, or if you're on a PC, Control J. And I'm going to, so that we just see the pattern and not the gradient, I'm just going to come up here to Fill and take this down to 0. Now it's going to change the look. Now if I turn this off, you're going to see that now we have like this blue, the blue watery look. If I go back into here and take a look at the effect, let's go down to Pattern Overlay. I'll see that the blend mode was actually multiply. So you might want to check real quick and see what the blend mode was that you used. Okay, so let's go back to this. And so right now, if I turn this layer off, you can see it's just the pattern. We're not seeing the gradient, but to make it look how it did before, I want to change my blend mode up here to multiply as well. Okay. It's not going to look any different until we turn this back on, and I'm going to turn off the effects for this layer. All right, so now I have the pattern overlay on one effect. So if I turn this off, you can see that I just have the gradient here, and then I have this here. If I turn this off, you'll see that there. All right, so they're on two different things. I'm going to go ahead, just to stay organized, I'm going to call this texture. Awesome. So now what we need to do is go ahead and right click on each layer and turn them into smart objects. This is going to take away the effects on them. It's not going to take them away. It's basically going to kind of like put it all into one layer. And so you're not going to be able to change these effects later, FYI. Oop. So if I just do it on the thumbnail, it's not giving me the options I want. I got to make sure I'm over here on this layer, and I need to come to Convert to Smart Object, Convert to Smart Object, Convert to Smart Object. And I guess I shouldn't say you can't change it later. You can change it if you double click on this little icon, but yeah. Okay. Smart Object and Smart Object. Sweet. So now we're ready to go ahead and start adding the motion. So I'm going to come down here, and next to each of these, there's these little arrows. And when you click on them, you get these options. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the transform. little stopwatch there, and that just added a keyframe right here. So this is where our starting place. Now I'm going to move to where it says 1 frame, or 1F. It's really like 1 second, and the F is frames. There's 30 frames per second. That's why you see the 15 between each. That's the middle part. So now that I'm here, this is where the magic starts. What I'm going to do is I'm going to hit Command T, or if you're on a PC, Control T to go into free transform. Now whatever I do here, it's going to have a smooth transition from this point, from our starting point, to whatever I end up doing here. So I'm just going to keep it simple for now. I'm going to go ahead and hold down Shift, and I'm going to turn this 90 degrees. Let me go ahead and pull out just a little bit. And so I'm going to start here in the corner. I'm going to hold down Shift and click and drag till I get to this other corner. Sweet. Now I'm going to hit return, and you'll see that another keyframe has just been added. So I'm going to come back here, hit play. Aha! It is turned. It's turned a quarter of the way now, and you can see that this is going to continue to go until you hit stop. All right, so pretty sweet. So that's a pretty nice rotation. If you wanted to go faster, you would turn it even more. If you wanted to go slower, you would turn it less. Now each time let me go to the 2 real quick. I'm going to hit Command T again. And each time if you're holding down Shift, it moves in, I think it's like 15-degree increments. So if you wanted to go slower, you can just go by 15 degrees if you wanted to have like a really slow moving mandala. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and keep with my 90. Whoops. There we go. And I'm going to hit return. And so now, if I come back here and hit play, it's moved halfway around. All right, so the thing that we need to do to make sure that this is all moving, and because as a GIF, it's just going to continually go, right? And so there's not a pause between. We need to make sure that we're ending up in the same place. So let me show you what I mean. I'm going to go ahead and go to the 3. I'm going to do this again, Command T. I'm going to hold down Shift and move 90 degrees again. And if you're seeing up here, this is actually the angle we're moving. So we started at 0, we went to 90, then we went to 180, and now we're at negative, or I believe it was 180, and then now we're at negative 90, and then we're going to go back to 0 again. I'm going to hit return. We have our little keyframe, and then I'm going to drag to 4, and I'm going to go ahead and do this one more time. And you can see we've returned to 0 up here at that little angle indicator there. I'm going to hit return. All right, we're good. So I do have all this extra space here, so I'm just going to go ahead and click and drag and pull this in here. And I'm going to do that for all of these layers. Oops. Don't freak out. Things are moving. It's just because, you know, we're at the end of this little timeline thing right here. Okay, so let's go ahead and hit play. All right, and it's just continually moving. There isn't any time of stop or anything. This is looking great. All right, so this isn't the only thing you can do. You can actually make things larger and smaller, but while doing this, but the key is that whatever you do, you want it to end up looking the same when you want the mandala to be in the same place by the time you end, so that once it starts again, it has that continual flow. Okay, so let's go ahead and continue with this. I'm going to make my flames now go the opposite way. So let's see, make sure I'm not missing anything. Add motion to the rest of the layers. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this with the flames. Now let's get back here. Let me click on the little stopwatch. And this time I want it to, so before I was moving to the left, now I want it to move to the right for the flames. And I'm in that inner flame layer. Cool. So now I'm going to go ahead and go to that 1 and going to hit Command T, and now we're doing the flame. So instead of moving to the right, I need to move to the left. So I'm going to hold down Shift, whoop, 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 and move to the left, and hit Return. Okay, let's go to the 2. Command T, and to the left. Okay, let's make sure that this is working. Yep, okay, it's moving the opposite way. Coolness. And let's go to the 3. Command T, move to the left, return, and then let's get to the last one. Command T to the left and return. Okay. And let's see, why are my keyframes here? I just move it out to that right there. All right, let's try this out. Cool. Now it is moving a bit fast, I feel the flames are. So maybe I might have to change this up a little bit. Okay, so you're getting the basic idea. Let me go ahead and show you the last part real quick, and then I'm going to pause so that I can kind of play with this a little bit, and then I'll come back to you. But let's go ahead and for your gradient and or texture layer, you can make it larger and smaller to create more of a breathing effect. So let's go ahead and try that out. I'm going to go with my texture layer. So what do I mean by breathing effect is by making it go larger and then smaller and then larger and then smaller, you'll create this breathing feel. So I'm going to hit the stopwatch. Oops, I need to make sure I'm at the beginning. The playhead needs to be at the beginning here. So I hit Command Z or Control Z if you're on a Mac for undo. Go here. Okay, now let's hit the stopwatch. Cool. And I want it to be slower than the rotation, so I'm going to go all the way to the 2 and hit Command T. And so now I'm going to go ahead and hold down Shift and make this larger. Whoop, not Shift, Command Z. Sorry, Option, Alter Option, so that it is moving from the middle. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and do that and pull it out to, I don't know. It doesn't need to be super crazy because it's a very small change. Let's go about there and see how that looks. I'm going to hit Return. And then I'm going to come here to the end and hit Command T. And I'm going to go ahead and just pull this. So right up here we have the width and height, and I wanted to make sure that it's still at the 100%. So I'm just going to come up here and put 100. Oh, come on. There we go. 100%. So I know that it's back in the exact same place, and hit Return. There we go. All right, let's see what it looks like now. Okay, so you can see, let's go ahead and pull this up. I'm going to move this over here so you guys can see better, that this is now moving in and out ever so slightly. And I might even want to take that even more so it feels a little bit more breathy. Okay, so that's the basics. I'm going to go ahead and pause for a minute, and I'm going to play with this a little bit to get it exactly how I like it. You're going to do the same thing. You will probably do something that's a little bit different depending on your elements, depending on the speed you want. It's all going to, yeah, kind of depend on what you're really feeling. I think mine feels like it's going a little too fast right now, so I'm definitely going to work on that. So yeah. I'm going to pause and I'll be back in a moment. All right, guys, I'm back. I've been playing with this. I'm making everything move, and I kind of fell upon a happy accident when I was playing with my mandala. Okay, let me hit Command T real quick. So up here, you know, we have the width and the height, and I was playing with these thinking that I was pulling it back to what it was before. And really, I must have entered some numbers in weird somewhere. I'm gonna have to try to figure out how to recreate it. But I ended up with this really cool turning effect instead. Let me show you what I mean. So let me go ahead and hit cancel on this. All right, check it out. Cool. It's like turning, it's getting smaller, it's getting bigger. That's not what I intended to do, but sometimes happy accidents happen. I think this is pretty awesome. So let me just pause this real quick and let me just explain what I did with everything else at least. So I ended up going 8 frames or 8 seconds for this because I did want the mandala, everything to be moving a little bit slower. And for me, doing the 90 degrees, doing the 4 turns, made it simpler in my brain, so I didn't get confused. So I ended up, doing this crazy thing with the mandala. The flames are turning one way, one circle's turning one way, another circle's turning the other way. The texture has that breathing, that larger and smaller effect. And then for the gradient, I actually made it I only added 1 in between, and I made it really big, so it goes from this purple magenta to almost all magenta and then back down again. So let's take a quick look one more time. And you can see how it's turning all magenta, and it's very subtle, but it's still adding to everything that's going on, right? How fun. Ah, I love playing with motion. Okay, so once you get something that you're happy with, now it's time to go ahead and export. So we're going to come up here to File. We're going to go to Export. And then we're going to go to Export for... Oh, I wrote the wrong thing in the instructions. It's actually Save for Web. I'll fix that in a minute. Save for Web. And thinking. So while this is thinking, I just can't wait to see what you guys make, because this is so fun. And you could do this for all kinds of different projects. There's just so many possibilities with this. And so, if it's taking a bit longer, that's just what happens when you're creating larger file sizes. I'm going to go ahead and pause the video while this does this thing. Okay, so it finally came up. Yay! So now that we're here, we're going to go ahead and change up some of these settings. So if it doesn't say it already, go ahead and choose GIF right over here. For the colors, it might say something like 128 or something. Go ahead and make sure it's on 256. Now, all this stuff is going to change the file size. All the motion is going to change the file size. The more you add, the bigger it's going to be. So sometimes you have to play with the settings a little bit to get it to be a smaller size. For this assignment, I'm not too worried about it. But if you're trying to post online, you just got to worry about, watch out for that kind of stuff sometimes. So if you absolutely need to, taking it down to 128 usually takes the file size down a bit. Right now, let me make sure I've hit everything. GIF, yes. Colors, yes. Type. That's where I was going next. So right now it's on optimize, and you can see it says 141 megabytes. That's huge for online. So let's go ahead and go to original, and that gives me 4.45 megabytes. Sweet. Let's go ahead and click with stay with this. Now if I hit preview, it's going to open it up in a web browser. And here we go, waiting again. I'm going to go ahead and pause for a second. Okay, it loaded up in my web browser, and we can see here that here's the preview of what it's going to look like. It's nice, it's big. This is actually pretty darn big. We have some fun code down here and everything, but so this is a preview of what the file is going to look like. So let's go ahead and close this and pull back over here. Okay, so if I decided I really didn't want to do this 1080, we can change the width and height right down here as well. I'm going to go ahead and leave it as is, and now I'm going to hit save. How fun. All right, and let's make sure, so it still says motion, it says GIF, we're good. Let's hit save. Okay, so now it's going to go ahead and save. Make sure you take your screenshot at this point as well once it's done saving, so you can turn it in as well. Yeah, so super fun. Yay! Now you have a moving mandala. All right, guys, can't wait to see what you create.